What's going on, and welcome back. In today's video we're going over ffuf, as I like to call it, or ffuf, which is a tool for performing enumeration and fuzzing of web applications. So you can take the tool as a way of finding directories, files, fuzzing for vulnerable parameters, and also you can brute force login credentials. So in this room we have around 8 tasks, okay, and we're going over each task, and throughout the progress we will explain the use of ffuf. Alright, so I'm gonna switch now to my virtual machine to explain the basics of this tool and how we can use that in web application penetration testing. Alright, so let's minimize this one, clear here, and also we don't need this one. Alright, so the first thing we would start with is the installation. So basically, to install the tool, you type sudo apt get install ffuf. Of course, I have installed the tool, so there is no need to do anything on my side, but this is the command to install the tool. Now the next thing is how to start the tool. So first thing, we type ffuf-h to explore the help menu. We can find an example if you scroll down. So here you have example usage, ffuf-w for word list, -u for the URL, and here we define the fuzz point. The fuzz point is the point where the strings and values from the word list are replaced by the tool. Alright, so in this case, the tool will iterate through the values in the word list and then replace every word with fuzz, replace fuzz with every word it finds from the word list. Here you can see -mc to match all of the filters, and here -fs42 for the size of the response, -z, -v for color coding, and here for verbose output. So this is an example. You can find the explanations in this help menu. Okay, fine. Now let's start with the applications of the tool. So in my example, in my machine, if I go to the IP address, we can see the simple DVWA web page. So if I want to enumerate files and directories, let's say I want to enumerate directories, right, with this tool. What do? So first type ffuf-u, define the URL, and then the URL here, in my case, it's this link. And since I want to enumerate for files and directories, I place the fuzz word right here. Okay. Then define the word list. In my case, the word list is user share sec lists. I guess I have to define it here. So let's take this one. Then type discovery /web content use big.txt. As you can see now, the tool starts and we start to have some results, but as you can see, you have to pay attention to the status code, which is 403, which means forbidden. We cannot access this directory. Here we have bad responses. We have config, we have docs, we have external, we have favicon. If you access favicon, ICO, see there is a small image here, favicon. Server status, this is forbidden, yes, 403. We have also robots.txt. All right. So this is an example to just enumerate files and directories. Now, what about if we go to now to the task and see the question we have to answer? So task 2, basics. What's the first file you found with 200 status code? We saw that it was favicon.ico. All right, on to task 3 now. Close this one. All right, so now we're looking to find also pages and directories. We're still at the same place here. We want to use the tool to find files, directories, and hidden pages. Now, we will use the same command, okay, but we will replace the word list. So in this case, list master, discovery, web content. Instead of big, I'm gonna use raft, medium, files, lowercase. So if you hit enter, we started to have some results. As you can see, files with different extensions. Now, the thing is, this may take some time, all right? And you don't want just to be overwhelmed with files and directories that do not exist. All right, so what we would like to do first when we enumerate a web application with ffuf is to find out the extensions of the files, okay? So now it's finished. I have some results. If we go to the results here, we have login, we have favicon, we have robots, we also have PHP ini, about, setup. Yeah, these are the files we found. What about if I want to just define the valid extension? I want to use this tool to understand what is the file extension used in this site or this application. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to just change the fuzz point. So ffuf -u http. All right, let's keep this as is. Now here, I'm going to use an example page such as index and then use fuzz. Now the fuzz point here will be an extension. I'm going to choose a file with an extension list. So the extension list will be replaced with fuzz. At the end, I will have results displaying out index pages, but at the end, one only will be the valid result. So remove this one, web content, until web content. Type web extensions, and then we hit enter. So we see we have two extensions, PHP and PHPS. Although the valid one is PHP, we can consider both as valid extensions for the web application. So for now, if I want to fuzz for files and other, only files, I can define now the extension and save myself the time. So let's type the same command. Okay, now here we use the word list. We define the URL. Now let's define the extension -e .php. This is the first extension. And then in case there are some text files, I don't want them to be ignored or missed. So what I would do, I would type also .txt. So now I define the extensions, all right? And now I enumerate the files. The files will have either PHP or txt as an extension. So now we have a couple of results. All right. Now we found some files. Let's now find some directories. So if you want to enumerate for directories, you want to cancel the extension here. And you also want to choose a word list specifically for directories. So here instead of files, I would type directories, lowercase, enter. Now I only enumerate directories. Okay. What text file did you find? Let's scroll up. So here we found that there was one text file called robots.txt. What two file extensions were found for the index page? So we found that the extensions, when we enumerate for extensions with this command, we found we have two, PHP and PHPS. Practically, we will only use .php. What page size, or what page has a size of 4840? If we scroll down to the command that we use to enumerate for files, okay. So which one? It has the 4840 size. As you can see here, we can inspect the sizes of the pages, and it was about.php. How many directories are there? So down here, we enumerated for directories only. And there are a total of 4. So that marks the answer for 4. So until far, we have used the tool, or we knew how to use the tool to enumerate for files and directories. What about using the filters now? So in some instances, or in some cases, you want to use the filters. You want to use results or display results with only specific status code, or specific word count, or specific page size. So here, in this case, you want to use some filters. So let's say I want to filter all of the results with 403 error codes, because at the end, I'm not going to be able to access the page, right? It doesn't mean that the page doesn't exist. It exists, but I cannot access it. So what if I want to filter for only results that I can access? So what I can do here, let's see here. All right, let's keep the same command and type -fc. -fc stands for filter code. And I type 403. Now I shouldn't receive any results with 403. As you can see, all of the results are none 403. That's an example. Now what if I want only results that match the status code 200? So what I would do here, I would choose the same command, but I would use mc match code 200. Now I see only results, right, with 200 as a status code. All right. Now what if I want to show results with the status code 200, and also I don't want to miss out on these pages with 403. I know that some of the pages are valid, but some of them are not valid. And at the same time, I don't want to miss on the hidden pages. Hidden pages are pages that start with dot something, right? As you can see, you cannot access them. 403. I don't want to miss on these. At the same time, I want to exclude some of the non-existent results. For that, we have to use, yeah, I know, it's hard. Develop the regular expressions. So here, instead of -mc, we type -fr for regular expression, and then type the regular expression between 2 single quotes, 1 // 1 \\, and then 2 dots, 1 star. Let's see what will this retrieve us. So enter. As you can see now, I still receive some results with 403, but there is no dot something, right? There is only this one. But here I also receive one page, valid page, wp slash or sorry hyphen forum.phps. This page is valid, right? If I exclude this page with dash fc403, I'm not gonna be able to view it, which means I'm gonna miss it. That's why we use regular expressions to keep valid results or valid 403 results only. Those results or those pages that actually they exist, but we cannot access them. But we don't want to know they are there for the enumeration purposes. Let's see the questions. After applying the FC filter, how many results were returned? So this is concerning the question number. So here I applied FC and I received around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 11. I received 11. After applying the MC filter, how many results were returned? We also applied the MC filters here to match only 200 status codes, and we received how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Which valuable file would have been hidden if you used -fc403 instead of the regular expression? Of course, we would have missed out on this file if we used the filter -fc403. And this is the answer. Now that's for the filters. Let's now fuzz some parameters. Okay. So let's clear the screen here. And now we have to switch to another machine. The challenge here is we have a URL, all right? And here there is a parameter. This parameter has a numeric value. An example would be, for example, search equal 1. This is not the correct parameter, right? But here it's asking you to use ffuf, okay, to find that parameter here, which is a numeric all the time. So we can use ffuf, right, to find these kind of parameters. So if we switch back to the command line and type ffuf-u, bring the URL. So here, question mark, I type fuzz. So we're not concerned what does the parameter equal to, right? I'm gonna assume it is 1, okay? Let's type here one single quote and another one here. So now we will fuzz for this parameter, trying to find it. Now -c for color coding and -w for the word list. So in my case, the word list is, I'm gonna use the same structure, /web content, nutshells. I forgot the discovery here, discovery web content. Okay, so I'm gonna use the word list perp parameter names. Okay, perp parameter names and enter. So let's find out. Okay. So we have many parameters and the status code is 200 all the time. But if we look at the word counts, we have the same word count all the time. Let's use the filters here. -fw word count 39. And now we can, as you can see, we filtered the 39 as a word count. We only have one, which is ID. If I type ID here, as you can see, we have a valid result. So the parameter is ID. And we were able to find it using ffuf. Now what about if I want to now fuzz for the number? So right now I found the ID, right? I now want to find the fuzz for the values here. See which what kind of results I would retrieve with different numbers. So I want to now change the fuzzing point from the ID itself or from the parameter to its value. So for that to happen, we're going to need a list of numbers. Luckily, you can create a similar list and feed the list to ffuf in the command line. So we can use for loop, for I in. So as you can see, I have it ready here. I'm going to just explain. So I use for loop that generates numbers from 0, as you can see, and the end is 255. And for every number, I echo the number to the command line, and then I take the number and pipe it to ffuf. Now, how ffuf will take the numbers as input from this command? So basically, we use the option -w, right, for word list, and to take the word list from std out, we use dash. Okay, and here I change the fuzz point on the value of the parameter. Here is the URL, and here we have for -c for color coding. -fw, I filter the word count 33. Enter. So we got around, yeah, we got all the numbers, right? So these numbers are valid values for the ID parameter. Let's try with 14. As you can see, we got different set of credentials. So now that's how we use ffuf to fuzz for parameters and their values. Now what about if we want to fuzz for usernames and passwords? So if we replace this and go to less 11. So here you have a login form, right? How can we use ffuf to find just the username and password and fuzz for the password? So here we're given a username and we want to find out the password. First, we take a look at the form. Page source. You see, look at the parameters. You have uname and you have passwd and you have submit. Okay. Now, if you're given the username and you're required to find the password, much like Hydra, you're going to use ffuf. So let's copy the URL here, get back to the console and type ffuf-u, type in the URL, -c for the color coding, -w, now the word list that we will use for enumerating, for finding the correct password. So let's see if there are passwords. Yeah, passwords, leaked database. Let's use hack5. Now we define -x to indicate that we are using post request. -d for the form data. So we have uname. It's given as dummy. And then we have the password, and which is passwd. Now here's the fuzz point, put fuzz, and submit equal. Let's take a look at the value, submit. Now we filter for the page size 1435 and define the content type, application. You can just find the header, the value here from Perp Suite. If you intercept the page with Perp Suite, you will find out that the content type equal to application /x www /form /URL encoded. So you can find this value from Perp Suite. And for this one, I just typed it because I did the challenge before. Now, if you're doing it for the first time, you can just omit this one and then you can filter for it. Let's see if we can find the password. As you can see, we have one password, which marks the correct password for the challenge. Okay. What is the parameter you found? ID. What is the highest valid ID? It was 14, and this is the dummy's password. Dummy is the username, and this is his password. Now, until far, we have used ffuf to enumerate files, to enumerate directories, and to also enumerate for parameters and also their values. And also we use ffuf to enumerate, to brute force usernames and password. Now, what about using the tool for finding subdomains? So normally subdomains are coming as extension before the domain itself. So if I want to fuzz for a subdomain, what I would do here, let's take an example. So ffuf -u, hey HTTP, I define the fuzz point before the domain itself. So in this case, it is fuzz.mydomain.com, and then define the word list. The word list here will be used to just enumerate for the right or for the correct string that equals an actual subdomain. I'm going to leave this to you to do it. There are no required answers or questions for this task. Now I'm going to jump and answer the questions that come at the end of this room. So how do you save the output to a Markdown file? So let's go back to the help menu and find out what is the correct option. If you go up, here are the output options. Look at this one, -of, output file format, available formats, JSON, eJSON, HTML, MD. This is the correct one. So we would use the option -of, right, MD, and define the file name. If you go back, you see -of, define the extension, and then -o for the output file name. Here we put the name of the file. How do you reuse a raw HTTP request file? Much like SQL map, when we save a request from Purpose Suite and then we use the request with the option -r, here we can use the same methodology with ffuf -request file containing the raw HTTP request. How do you strip comments from a word list? -ic. How do you read a word list from Stdn? We used that, and we did that when we were enumerating the values of the ID parameter. We did that with this option. So -w for defining a word list, and we use dash to indicate we are taking the values from Stdn. How do you print full URLs and redirect locations? This is for verbose output. We use -v. What option would we use to follow redirects? What option would we use to follow redirects? If you go up, look at the options, -r, follow redirects. How to enable colorized output? We use the -c, and this marks the end of this room. I hope you find this room helpful. I'm gonna put all of the notes for ffuf, its use in one single PDF file. Of course, only members can access it. Thank you for watching.